Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to Monster Games and Collectibles. It's time for another action figure review here on the channel. And as you can see on the screen in front of you right now, today's installment is going to be taking a closer look at the new G.I. Joe Classified series, Slice and Dice figures. So stick around, folks. I'm going to give you all the ins and outs, ups and downs that you need to know about this pair. So if you've been thinking about picking up this double pack for yourself, you'll know whether they're for you, whether they're right for you to crack your wallet open and spend your hard-earned cash on. I'm going to start by taking a look at the packaging of the box for the minting box folks, or for those interested in the peg presents. Then move on to the figures, talk about the visual experience and the aesthetic qualities of them. Then on to the articulation and posability, and then finish up with a little walkthrough of all the accessories and added value. And with all that said and done, you should have a good, thorough overview to, decide whether you want to buy these bad boys or not. So let's get into it, and let's start by jumping back in time to visit past Chris, taking a look at the packaging on the day it arrived on his doorstep. Here we go. All right, then, folks, well, here is Cobra Ninja's Slice and Dice in packaging. And as you can see, it's the standard G.I. Joe Classified series kind of two-pack setup that we've seen with a few sets of late. Got the carbon fiber motif there, got the Cobra logo, the Ninja Force logo, the big window on the front showing off the figures, and all the goodies. I mean, all the goodies. Look at all the stuff that they've stacked in with these. Very much looking forward to cracking this open and playing around with all that. Then on the back, these guys are 160 in the line. Got this digital render here you can see with the two figures in, kind of action pose with the snake eyes in the distance there. Breakout windows with a few key features, legal bollocks and malarkey across the bottom, and then some file card information. And to be blunt and getting to the point, it's all ninja shit, folks. It's all ninja shit, folks. Look, they'll kill you. They'll kill you dead and chop your head off and keep your skull. They've got swords and they do stabby and cutty and slicey, whooshy things. That's a dude kicking things, so they both can kick really good. And, what's that? Like a throwing star, ninja star, whatever they're called. So, they can throw them too. And both of them have exactly the same, so they can both do exactly the same ninja shit. On one of the sides there, we've got the artwork here. Still can't shake the feeling, folks, that this is AI-generated artwork, but this one's pretty decent. It's of a higher standard of some of the other kind of more crappy AI stuff I've called out of late. Usual stuff on the side, repeat the file card, the number, repeat the artwork, and the QR code to nowhere. And there we go, folks. There is Slice and Dice in packaging. So I'm going to go away and get these bad boys cracked open. Have them hang around as my desk figures for a couple of days, get some good hands-on man-child playtime in, jot down a few thoughts, take some photographs, try them out in a few displays, see what they look like next to a couple of other figures. And I'll be back to share those review thoughts in just a moment. So stick around. Future Chris is going to come back in 3, 2, 1. And okay then, folks, we're going to start the review section of the video by taking a closer look at Slice here, specifically taking a look at the visual experience, the aesthetic with Slice. Now, with both these figures, there's lots of accessories that kind of change up the visual experience, but this is Slice as he came out of the packaging here. And this is an interesting one. Here's a little head-to-toe look at the figure to get us started, because it's clearly Slice. The core inspiration is clearly Slice, but this is an example where G.I. Joe Classified kind of made a bit more of a departure from the vintage figure look and kind of done some stuff and some embellishments of their own, which I'm all for. So your core stuff like the color schemes and the general design language and the kind of core motifs in there remain the same, but actually it's quite different to the vintage figure, at least to my kind of mind's eye recollection for sure. For example, the core color scheme with the reds and the blacks, but he doesn't have that kind of pattern coming through the uniform here. So they've done their own thing, and they've obviously added extra kind of armor sections and bits to the gauntlets and whatnot, which gives it more depth and a lot more character. Bringing him a bit nearer to the camera, we can see there's lots of nice sculpted detail in there and paint applications and whatnot to give it some depth and bring it to life. The helmet section, he's fully masked, is Slice here, and you can see he's retained that kind of faceplate piece with that kind of textured grill pattern within it, which Slice, is known to wear. And then the back of his mask, you can see the straps holding that in place, along with the little tassel pieces dangling down the back with some nice kind of sculpted wafty details. But then moving into the body, you can see we've got the texture detail in there. The shoulder pads are nice, actually. The pauldrons, as it were, Adam and Aaron. These are nice, a nice kind of matte and black to them with this this metallic paint application across the trimmings and the studs over the middle, which is really nice to see. And that's continued down into this gauntlet area as well there. Got a kind of belty bracer section across the middle too, again with some nice sculpted details with this kind of climbing rope sort of draped ready for use there, painted studs across the front of the buckle on the belt, and some textured detail. And this is an over piece. It's like one of those kind of skirty over pieces that they do on the G.I. Joe Classified sometimes, although this one's not too bad. It sits quite tight, quite neat, and doesn't slide up and down all that much. And again, you can see the tie knot and the tassels where it's been drawn tight around the back there. That sort of red ropey motif is echoed on this gauntlet side as well, which has got a little sheath for a tiny little sai, and the red cord kind of ties over the top there, which is nice, more sculpted detail. Does look a little bit plasticky. I think it would be fair to say that, especially on top of some of these nicer kind of textured elements underneath, but it's all fine. Got some textured detail into the legs. I'm pretty confident we've seen these before. These are reused legs. But then down into the boot section, we've got this nice, these kind of shin guards, these sort of bamboo shin guards with the red cord motif in there again as well. A little bit of a paint application in there to really give it some more depth and character. And then those kind of ninja style footwear pieces. And then onto dice. And again, here's the figure as he came directly out the packaging. And once again, you can see where the kind of core vintage figure inspiration sits, but they have embellished further themselves to kind of classifiedize the figure and added some extra bits and bobs to make it their own. Although I would argue that Dice here is a little bit more aligned with the vintage look of the figure compared to Slice. Going a bit closer, here's the head sculpt, one of 3 heads for Dice here in the set. This one's probably my least favourite, actually, of the 3. Ironically, considering this is the more classic Dice look, you know. Certainly a lot going on there. Got the teeth, individual paint applications with that grill section. Got this little silver piece at the front here. The eye sculpt is really good. The paint applications there, very kind of intense. I'm about to cut you up kind of vibe about it. Got the sculpted wing shapes here at the top. Instantly identifiable, you know, as Dice there. And again, with the mask straps holding it on at the front, and then his under mask pulled tight with the knot and the wafty tassels. Yes, there's fundamentally nothing wrong with it. Just it's my least favourite of the 3 that they included. But then moving down into the body, again, you can see lots of sculpted detail in here. These like shoulder pieces, got his kind of bandolier belts with various extra sculpted bits like throwing knifey things, a little bit more cord. I think these are hand grenades here. They could have done with being painted, pockets and whatnot. And then you moving down, you can see he's got a kind of bracer belt piece again, keeping that red cord motif that's consistent between the 2 of them in there too, with the red cord pieces, the painted buckle at the front, the sculpted pouches there. See with that little kind of pattern on that matches his wrist braces here. Which is all lovely to see. Very pleased to see little paint applications on these tiny rings there too. Those extra little bits of detail that bring it to life. And then these have got these kind of draped cloth sections coming down, which are that rubbery sort of plastic, so they're a little bit more malleable, and they're nicely sculpted to give them some shape and some dynamic too. And then you can see around the back here, more paint applications on where the red cords are clipped onto his belt. Then we've got these armour pieces here, one at the top there, and then across the top, the kind of gauntlet-y style ones that sit down the forearm and the wrist and to the back of his hand. Again, with the red cord, with that sculpted, ropey kind of shape on it to keep that kind of cohesive motif between the 2 of them. But I really like that kind of armour sculpting on there. Really lovely. Got the usual kind of texture detail in the legs. Again, I'm pretty sure these are reuse. And then down into the feet and the boot section there. You can see, again, more of this red cord little kind of motif in there with similar armour padding on the shin guards to the ones that are sitting on his wrists. Colour scheme-wise, decent, you know, nice symmetrical balance in the way that the figures have been designed that makes them easy on the eye. The colours tie well to the classic look of the figures from the, you know, the vintage toys, the comic books, etc., etc. Although I've mentioned it a few times, I really love this kind of little red cord motif that they've put in there to add a little bit of cohesion between the 2 as a kind of double team there, which is really lovely to see. So overall, yeah, it's a thumbs up on the visual experience. I think these 2 look great together. I've been posing them up in all sorts of kind of martial artsy ninja poses as a double act, and they tie together well. They're very eye-catching. They've got good shelf presence. They mix in well with different kind of styles and designs through the Cobra side of the shelf, as it were. God, that was a really long way of saying they look good in amongst the other Cobras. But yeah, overall, very enjoyable. I think there's some nice details. I love the new classified embellishments they've added to it. Yeah, it's all good on the aesthetic front for sure. Okay, well, there's the visual experience. There's the aesthetic qualities of the two figures. Let's now take a look at the articulation, shall we? And as always, folks, it's pretty standard G.I. Joe Classified Series articulation on this pair here. So if you neither need nor want to stick around to see that, please feel free to use the chapters. I put the chapter timestamps in so you can jump ahead to take a look at the accessories and added value. However, if this is your first G.I. Joe Classified Series review you've ever watched, or you're just interested to know if there's any particular quirks with this pair, stick around, I'll walk you through the articulation. I'm going to start with Slice and probably just use Slice to give the core overview and then just show you a slight thing on Dice that I think needs drawing attention to. So starting on top of the head is the ball at the base of the net, ball in the base of the head, which gives you decent down, fairly decent up, all the way around, tilt and swivel, you know, all that good stuff as per usual. Then moving down into the shoulders is the butterfly joint, the peg, and the hinge. So you got your little shuffle back and forth like that, which is really great. Nice range of motion for sort of bladey, slicey poses. All the way around, full 360. And you can tee them out, but the shoulder pauldrons do get in the way a little bit. Got the swivel there at the top of the bicep and tricep. And again, you can probably see the pauldrons, they're not attached to the shoulder, they're attached to the bicep. So they move with the swivel, which is quite handy. Pinless double elbows. With Slice here, you're a bit more limited because of these kind of two armor pieces, the way they meet. It restricts your movement a bit more, but not so much that it would bother you. I did try and get him into like a pose where he was sort of doing a leaping, stabbing thing that I couldn't quite get together in a way I liked because of that restriction, though, so something of note. Then we've got pegged in hands that can go all the way around in the wrist joint there. And the hands as they come out of the box have got up and down hinges on them. Moving down into the torso, got the hinge, the ab crunch hinge, and the ball at the waist. Your ab crunch hinge is fine. You've got plenty of movement there. This kind of belt piece across the middle doesn't get in the way. And your ball swivel is nice. You can see it moving under there. No problems at all. No restriction in movement there. Standard drop-down ball joint on the hips and groin area, which means we can go forward like that. You can get your Russian ballet out to there. You see the gap, the drop-down gap in there. And then you've got the thigh swivel at the top of the leg. Oh, out of focus. Do that again. There you go, Chris. Was very stiff up here, guys. I had to apply a lot of heat to Slice in particular to get a range of motion there, particularly on the thigh cut. It was very iffy, but the hips are still a bit squiffy. Then down to the knees. Pinless double knee. That'll get you up to there. Boot cut at the top of the boot, and as you can see, the sort of boot line and this protective piece at the front is sculpted in, so it moves with the swivel, and then the hinge and rockers in the feet, stroke ankles. So that's your core articulation, and Slice and Dice, to most intents and purposes, are exactly the same, but I did want to swing past Dice because there's a couple of quirks here that I wanted to point out, and it's mostly here in the shoulders. These black kind of shoulder paddy pieces here are not... At least I don't think they are butterfly joints. There's a small bit of movement in there, but they don't have the kind of cutaway piece and the shuffle back and forth. And because they're kind of firmly sculpted in, they also significantly restrict your 360 spin because they're not attached to the arm, they're attached to the body. So sometimes when you're trying to get him, like, you know, with his spear in particular, trying to do interesting stuff with posing him up with a spear. Well, I mean, you could take him down the pier and take pictures on the pier if you wanted, but I'm speaking specifically about the spear. Yeah, this limited range of motion in the shoulders is actually quite awkward and gets in the way of some of the stuff you want to do with the arms because your shuffle's not there and your range of full 360 is not there. It doesn't affect your T, but yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. So overall, it's a thumbs up, folks. Despite that shoulder quirk with Dice, I've still managed to do a lot of stuff with them in terms of posability and get them into some poses that have aligned to what my imagination was seeking to do with them. So overall, yeah, it's a thumbs up. I mean, it's standard G.I. Joe classified. There's a lot of range of motion in there. Just that weird shoulder thing here with Dice is a bit annoying. So there you go. Okay, there's the articulation. So let's now take a look at the accessories and added value. Big section of the video this, folks, because, spoiler alert, there's loads. And I'm going to start us off with the first of two head swaps that come with Dice here. This one is like a dragon face mask, very classic sort of Japanese style dragon face mask there. This is probably my favourite. I mentioned before about My favorite, but this is probably my favorite. I love this. Got that flash of light blue with the core red mask at the front there. Lovely sculpted details in there. Paint applications too, like the metallic painted teeth and the painted eyes with a little spot on them, which is really lovely. And then these kind of wisps up the top there. Really great, very intimidating. Nice little piece of flavor for sure. And I like the way the red and the blue sort of like really adds to the shelf presence because it sort of pops against the purple and black color scheme. Then Dice comes with his complete unmasked head, which is a lovely piece of work. Got a strong Yul Brynner vibe about it, if you ask me. I think maybe it's the bald head. But yeah, lovely facial features in there, nicely sculpted, as you can see. Got a scar across the front of the face too, which is lovely. Nice paint applications in the eyes, the eyebrows and stuff. Good shape. Yeah, very good. And this is quite nice because you can use another set of accessories with this look. Because with the unmasked head, you can go for this this look, this aesthetic, which is a whole other vibe on Dice, which I really, really love, with the rice field hat and the kind of cloak on him there, which is really, really nice. Rice field hat's got some nice sculpted details, that kind of woven vibe with these little metallic ends there. I remember Lenny mentioning on a stream a while ago that there was kind of an intent with you can see the little handle across the middle there, that it could be used as a kind of offensive weapon with these kind of blades at the end there, so we could hold it and swing it at people. And then the little cloak is nice, got a little stud up here, can you see there? And then it comes down, just sort of drapes down. It's all kind of cut off and messed up from seeing combat, but got some nice contour details in there as well. Getting the hat on and off his head's a bit of a fuss. There's a strap on it. You see here, this little strap? That's supposed to strap around his chin. But then when you got the cape on, you can't get this little knot to tuck in properly underneath. Even popping the head off and back on again, it's really annoying. And so I find it a bit of a fuss. So I turn it around and I just kind of tuck it in at the back there, like that. But that might be me. That's possibly not anything more than just my incapability. It could be incompetence on my part. So, bear that in mind. Slicer's got a head swap too. You can see that here. A different style of face mask with like a kind of insecty kind of thing going on about it there. He's got these like little mandibles coming down the front here. Nice kind of metallic paint job on there, really shiny. It's probably reflecting a bit too much on my studio lights there, but yeah, really lovely. And another kind of more menacing look and feel. I must admit, I think I lean more towards that one, but yeah, a lot of flavour, a lot of options for displaying your figure for sure. Then getting into the weapon loadout, and there's a ton of weapons in here. I'll start with these, the spear, which, and the axes, which I've kind of, certainly the spear associated with Dice over here. These are really nice, lovely. Got the metallic paint application on the bladed sections with these lovely kind of dragon sculpted details in them there. And then there's like a little dragon tail sculpted detail on the blade of the spear. Both of them have got these little red tassely bits as well to on the black to again tie into that sort of red string motif. And then on the bottom of the spear, we've got this kind of stabby claw thing, again with a tassel on it. These kind of dragon claw shapes, which is really nice, lovely to see. Then we have a wide selection of bladed weapons, which are kind of more leaning towards Slice. We've got his little sai here, these couple of like kind of stabby blade things that he holds, these kind of like clawy things. Got his two swords and a couple of daggery style blades there. A couple of them have got some embellishments, so the sai's got a black handle. And you can see a couple of embellishments on these kind of sword things. In fact, I don't know what these are called. So if anyone more knowledgeable in kind of ancient Japanese weaponry would like to jump into the comments and educate me, you would be welcome to do so. Come along and tell me what these are called. But yeah, they've got the black handle and the little red trimmings there to tie it up with the rest of the that kind of red colour motif. These are a letdown. These are probably the biggest kind of disappointment with the set all told. I mentioned this when I saw the demo on one of my kind of stream reviews, and I was right. I was correct, because in hand I can see it too. These look really cheap and plasticky. Super cheap and plasticky. These two aren't too bad, but I mean, look at this. Very cheap plasticky vibe on them, not really much sculpted detail. They just look really rubbish, which is a shame. These two looks like something you get in a Marvel Legends set, not in a G.I. Joe Classified Series set, and a real letdown. Now, a few of these can be stored on the figure, specifically these ones down here, which I'll show you now. Slicer's got a little pegged-in backpack thing here. You can see nice sculpted details on it. I took it off before when I was showing you the figure, but it came on packaging, and then you can just sort of hook these blades in like so. There you go, just finished it off camera there you are. And then the Sai has a little sheath that I pointed out on the back of his gauntlet before in there. Now that's not a very good fit, that's loose. Oh, he says it's not coming out now, but I find myself knocking that out quite a lot, to be honest. Then we have this little belt with some throwing knives on it there. You can see just a standard kind of black rubbery belt. Oh, easy slice. With the knives on the front in the metallic paint application. I mean, you can use them on either of the two figures, but I've been draping this across my slice because Dice has already got the belts with some extra bits and bobs on, which I think is the intention. And both of these dudes have got a selection of hand swaps that you can use with them. Here you can see they've got a closed fist for each arm, and they've got an open palm for each arm as well, just to open up your world of possibility in terms of, you know, hand gestures and whatnot as well. So, folks, it is a thumbs up because it's a great accessory selection. Wide range of stuff that opens up your world of possibility as to how you might want to display them, how you might want a man-child play with them, the types of photos you might want to take, the dios you might want to set up, you know, and that's all great. Head swaps and hand swaps, awesome. Wide selection of weird and wonderful weapons and stuff to use with them. Something kind of unique and with a lot of flavour there as well. All for that. Just really let down by the cheap plasticky quality of this weapon selection on the kind of slice side of the fence, which is a real shame, especially when you look at these ones. Like, these are so much better, you know. Real shame to be let down. But you know what? I've got plenty of stuff in the bits box, katanas and what have you, so I can experiment and play around with that. But overall, yeah, in terms of added value, lots going on in there to really expand your playtime, which I'm all for. Okay, bro. So there's the accessory selection. Let's now take a very quick look at these pair next to a couple of other figures, shall we? Okay, folks, well, here is Slice and Dice with the Red Ninja. Here's Slice and Dice with the Night Creeper. Here's Slice and Dice with a very bright white glowing Storm Shadow, very covert Storm Shadow under the studio lights there. And here is Slice and Dice with Firefly. And there you go, folks. There is Slice and Dice making their way around on the turntable for you to get a 360 view of the figures. Well, I say 360 view. I placed them back to back so you can't see them 360. That's a total lie, but nonetheless, here's the moment in which I offer my final thoughts. And yeah, this is a pretty decent two-pack. Obviously, if you're into the whole kind of ninja-y martial arts space of G.I. Joe, then these two are a must purchase. If you're a bit less into that, I suppose your mileage would vary. But I like them nonetheless. I think they're really good figures. The only thing that has truly disappointed me is those plasticky-looking weapons. Otherwise, I'm actually really into the set, and I've had a lot of fun playing around with them. They made for a great pair of desk figures. And posing up the martial arts folks is fun. It's fun getting them in all those kind of ninja-y poses and stuff. So, yeah, I would recommend this one. Definitely recommend this one, particularly if you're a fan of the Real American Hero comic book, because their appearances in that were awesome. All right, well, that brings us to the close of this review. Obviously, if you found it useful, do the thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, blah, 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 YouTube stuff. You know, do it to help a brother out. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and please do swing around again for another video sometime soon, okay? Take it easy, have a great day, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye now.